Holla at your girl, it's E. Don't get it twisted. How you doing? It's your girl E. How you been? You been okay? Good. I'm pleased. And if you haven't been okay, I'm sorry that you're going through stuff. I genuinely think that some of the things that we go through, they're meant to create something stronger in you. I know when you're going through them, it doesn't look like that. It doesn't feel like that. You're probably not looking, to what it's going to create in the future. It's what's happening now, that's overwhelming you or, making you feel the way that you do. But I genuinely think that, the things that we go through, the hardships, the difficulties, the pain where, you're crumbling on the inside. And you might not show it on the outside, but you're crumbling. Those things, they're building spiritual muscles. They're building muscles that, that can withstand things that are coming. So just stay in there. Stay in there. Don't give up. Yeah? Cool. So going back to what we were trying to look at from last week, which is the power of the mind. Another thing I wanted to talk about in terms of the mind is the fact that, do you know that even the way other people think can affect us? What do I mean by that? If we've already got a low self-esteem, if you don't think that you're worth much, if you've already got your mind to a point where your mind has told you you're nothing, where your mind has allowed the past, the negative past, to direct how you think about yourself, it then makes it easier for the way other people think to also affect you. So not only is your mind affecting you negatively, the thoughts of other people are also affecting you negatively. I mean, how? Wow. But it happens, and, how others look at you, what they say about you or what you think they might be saying about you. You then begin to, behave in a way that complements other people rather than yourself. So that means how it might be your speech, it might be your mannerism, it might be the things that you allow people to say to you or how you allow them to treat you because, you don't want them to think differently of you. You become a different person because your mind hasn't developed to the point that it needs to develop where you're able to stand on who you are without letting what other people think judge you or make you become who you don't want to be. We think everything is impossible when we feel limited. And that's another danger with the mind. If your mind sees everything as impossible, if your mind sees, situations or circumstances as rigid and you're not willing to maneuver or you're not willing to, imagine how different it could be, everything, becomes so huge. It can bring on that feeling of limitations where the only way that you can operate is in doubt, anxiety, and fear. But I believe that the situations in your life that will arise that will break some negative habits. So when those situations come, there's just something about you that approaches that situation, that addresses that situation in a way that you break through and you become stronger than what you were before. So you need to train your mind in a way that refuses fear, that refuses anxiety, that refuses those negative thoughts or morbid thoughts or self-limiting thoughts or any form of, limitations that, decreases you and not accelerates you. And again, for me, from a biblical perspective, that's the reason why the Bible says, to continually renew your mind. Bible says that, we've been given a spirit. We've not been given a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. But all this can only happen when we actually discipline our mind. And how do you discipline your mind? By continuously controlling what you think. You might think that's impossible, but it isn't. When something negative comes, immediately as it comes, change it. Don't just brush it aside. There's some time you need to brush things aside, and we can talk about that later, but when the negative one comes, you need to change it. Honestly, sometimes I don't think we know this, but there's a constant battle going on in our minds. I can say that for myself. I'm constantly battling in my mind. Negative thoughts will come. I've got to just say, nope, not today. And that's what we need to do. We need to continually understand that everything that we think, becomes part of us. What we focus on directs what we do. I read a book, I'm not sure which one it was, that our personality comes from our mind. And that's true. Because the experiences that I have and what I've thought about those experiences directs my thinking, directs my actions. And that is so true. But I believe that in order for us to be able to control our minds, we need to get to a place where we work with our mind by being the gatekeepers. You can't allow, your mind to control your actions without any form of gatekeeping. And how do you gatekeep? You need to understand that, there's a place where, people have said, I'm not even sure why I thought such a horrible thought. I'm not even sure why this came into my mind. I'm not even sure why. You know what? There's a place where, you're sitting down, just thinking of something, and something negative just dropped. You're thinking, whoa, where did that come from? That's why I said the power of the mind is it's amazing. And the enemy will keep on suggesting things into your mind. And that is why, it is important. What do you read? What do you feed your mind with? What kind of books do you read? What kind of music do you listen to? What do you feed your mind? Because sometimes the things that we feed our mind is what gives room to the things that, we think about. And you cannot begin to just take things lightly, because you begin to develop habits ever so, you don't even know it's happening. It's quite subtle. All of a sudden you realize that this is the way your mindset is, and you're finding it difficult to shift it. That's why some habits are quite difficult to shift, because our habits start from our minds. So you need to now set up some sort of gatekeeping in order to manage what you think and what you allow into your emotions. The thing is, what we pay attention to, right? Whether it's negative or whether it's empowering, what we pay attention to, what we think of, is what gains power. So if your thoughts are always negative, that is what your mind is going to be so focused on. If your thoughts are empowering, that is what your mind is going to focus on. Therefore, the things that you do are based on what you're feeding your mind. The things that you do are based on what you pay attention to. As a believer, I speak the word of faith. So every time there's a negative word, every time there's anxiety, and when they raise their head, I just speak the word. And for me, it's like I have the mind of Christ. That's the biggest one that I use. It did not give me a spirit of fear, but of sound mind. And I repeat that as many times as I have to.